welcome to the Granny Square series. This week we're going to be looking at this lovely double layered rose. As you can see in this one I've used different colours and we've got cluster stitches in the middle, and then in this one I've just done it in one colour. No, sorry, these are puff stitches and these are clusters, so you can use either. It's up to you. Let's get started. To begin, I'm using the toy Stylecraft Special DK with a 4mm hook, and I'm making a double magic circle and chain 1. So for the first round we're going to make 6 puff stitches, 3 loop puff stitches. You could make clusters instead if you wanted, but I'm going to demonstrate with puff stitches. So we're going to pull up to the height of a US double, UK treble with that chain, yarn over, go into your loop, pull the yarn through, that's once, yarn over, go into the loop, pull through, that's twice, yarn over, go in, pull through 3 times. We yarn over, pull through all of those loops and chain 2. Yeah, and we're going to do that 5 more times. So we're going to make 5 more 3 loop puff stitches into the double magic circle, or if you prefer you can always chain 3 or 4 and slip stitch if you don't like using the circle method. So I'll see you at the end of the round. You can press pause if you're making along, and I'll see you at the end of the round. So once you've made your 6 stitches, count just to check, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We chain 2. Oops. Pull your circle tight if you're using the circle. And then we're going to slip stitch into the top of the first puff stitch we made to join. And that's how it should look at the end of round 1. So for the second round we're just going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to slip stitch into the top of the next puff stitch. Chain 3 and slip stitch into the top of the next puff stitch. So we're going to go all the way around like so. And slip stitch. So you can press pause if you're making along, and I'll see you at the end of the round. So when we get to the end of the round, the last chain 3, we're going to slip stitch into the top of the last puff stitch we made, and then we're just gonna, if you're changing colour like me, we're just gonna chain, cut the yarn, and then pull that tight. And that's how it should look. So to attach the yarn, we're going to make a slip knot. I'm using the Pale Rose, again the Stylecraft Special DK range. Oops. And we're going to just turn those chain 3 spaces back because we're going to be working into the chain 2 spaces. So we are going to slip stitch into a chain 2 space. So turn that chain 3 back so that we can work in the chain 2 space. We're going to chain 1, and then we're going to make a US single, UK double, and then we're going to make 6 US doubles, UK trebles into that same chain 2 space. So this is where we make our petals. after we've made 6 stitches, we then finish with a little stitch, a US single, UK double, into that same chain 2 space, and that's our first petal. So we're then going to go across into the next chain 2 space. Again, turn that chain 3 space back, and we start with 1 little stitch, a US double, US single, UK double, and then 6 US doubles, UK trebles, and then 1 US single, UK double. So it's 1 little stitch, 6, just like the standard stitch I call them, and then 1 little stitch into each chain 2 space to make 6 petals. Yeah, so I'll just finish this one with you. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then we make the little stitch to finish, and it just pinches it down. Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and make the next 4 petals, and I'll see you at the end of the round. So after you've made your 6 petals, we're just going to slip stitch into that first stitch we made to join. Yeah, and that's how the front of your work should look. And then there's the back of the work. So we've got those, all our tails, but also we've got these chain 3 spaces at the back. Yeah, so turn the work back so that it's right side facing. So we're just going to chain 2, because we're going to keep the same colour. We're going to turn that petal down, and we're going to slip stitch into the chain 3 space. We're then going to chain 4, and we're going to hop across to the next chain 3 space, and we're going to slip stitch, chain 4, and into the next chain 3 space and slip stitch. And we're just going to repeat all the way around, 2, 3, 4, until we get back to the beginning. Yeah, I'm not going to zoom ahead because it's just such a short round. And turn down, slip stitch, and chain 4. And then into the next one, and I'm back at the beginning. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're going to slip stitch into the first slip stitch we made, and we're going to repeat. So we're going to go round and do another round slip stitching into the previous slip stitch. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we slip stitch into the slip stitch. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then slip stitch into the slip stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, and again slip stitch into the slip stitch. So just carry on. be back at the beginning now. So when we slip stitch to join, we're going to want to work on the next row. We want to work on this first row of slip stitches we made. You see we've made 2 rows of slip stitches. Yeah, we're going to be working into the first one. So when we slip stitch to join, we're going to go into the first slip stitch and then we're going to come up between those 2 chains. Yeah, so that our yarn is now in between those 2 chains, and then we can slip stitch. Make sure you take your tail out of the way. We can then slip stitch into the first chain coming up in between and pull the yarn through, and we don't get tangled. And that's how it should look at the end of that round. From the front it doesn't look very different, but on the back we've got lots of chains now. Yeah, so as we worked the first round and we tucked that chain behind, we're going to do the same thing now. So we're going to just keep that second row that we made out the way and work on the first row only. So we're going to chain 1. We're in this chain 4 space. We're going to chain 1. We're going to make a, oops, done exactly what I said, be careful not to do. We're going to make a US single, UK double. Yeah, and then we're going to make 8 US doubles, UK trebles. So the first row of petals we made 6, now we're going to make 8. Yeah, after your 8 stitches, we make a little stitch again, just to finish off. And that's our first petal. So we're now going to go across. Remember, we're going to tuck that second row back and work only in this first one. So we're going to go in and make a US single, UK double, and then 8 US doubles, UK trebles. You might want to tuck the petals down as well. Yeah, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4. You probably don't want to hear me counting actually. 5. And remember, we finish off after our 8 stitches with a little stitch, and we're going to repeat. So you can see how that's creating that second layer of petals. So we're going to go all the way around. Take care, yeah, that we keep that. So you can see we've now got that second row to work in on our next round. Yeah, so keep hopping across into the first chain space, chain 4 space. Oops. Make your little stitch, 8 regular stitches, 1 little stitch, and I'll see you at the end of the round. So when you've finished the second row of petals, we're just going to slip stitch to join into that first stitch we made on the first petal, and then just chain, and we'll cut the yarn. Oops, pull that, and then we'll tighten that up. And there we go, that's how it should look. It's cute, isn't it? Oops. And on the back, you should have these chain 4 spaces ready for our next round. I'm using Meadow from the Style Craft Special DK range, making a slip knot. So with the right side facing, we're just going to turn those petals down and we're just going to slip stitch into one of these chain 4 spaces and chain 1. So we are going to make a 2-stitch cluster using US doubles, UK trebles. You can do 3 stitches if you want, and chain 2. And into that same chain 4 space, we're going to make another 2-stitch cluster, or like I say, you could do 3-stitch clusters if you wanted, and chain 2. And we're going to hop across to the next space, making your clusters, two clusters per chain 4 space, and 2 chains in between each cluster. So we will have 12 clusters and 12 chain 2 spaces at the end of the round. So you can press pause if you're making along, and I'll see you at the end of the round. So at the end of the round, you can just slip stitch into the first cluster you made to join, and then slip stitch into the chain 2 space and chain 1. And that's how it should look at the end of round, well, I don't know what round you'd call that really, the round before squaring. And that's how it looks at the back. Yeah. So I do think, I mean, you can't really see those petals, but or leaves, I suppose we would call these green bits, but I mean 3 would look probably better. But like I say, you can't really see them, and I try and save on yarn as much as I can. And taking a stitch out of clusters or puffs is one way to use less yarn, especially if you're worried you're not going to have enough till the end of your project. So now we're going to create the square. Yeah, so in that first chain 2 space, we're going to make 1 US single, UK double, and then we're going to make 2 half stitches. So that's a half US double, half UK treble, but I'll just call them half stitches from now on. Yeah, then we're going to hop across to the next space. This will be our corner. We're going to make 2 US doubles, UK trebles. We're then going to make 1 US treble, UK double treble. So that's the big stitch. Yeah, we're going to chain 2. And then we're going to go back into the corner. So we're going to make another US treble, UK double treble. And then 2 US doubles, UK trebles into that same space, yeah? So that's our corner. And then into the next space, we're going to make 2 half stitches. Followed by 1 little stitch. That's the US single, UK double. And that's our repeat. So we're going to go into the next space, making 1 little stitch and then 2 half stitches. And we're back at the corner. the next one will be the corner. So that's 2 US doubles, UK trebles, a US treble, UK double treble, chain 2, US treble, UK double treble, 2 US doubles, UK trebles, and so on. So if you're following along, you can press pause, and I'll see you at the end of the round. So at the end of the round, it should look like so. We're just going to slip stitch across to join, and then we can chain and cut the yarn, and then you can pull that through. It will need blocking, and obviously there's a few ends to weave in, but there we go. Isn't that cute? I love it. I'll see you in the next video.